Hi, this is Nat, and today I'm talking about The Order 1886. And I guess that's all the time we have today. Hope you enjoyed this particularly cinematic show. We are Dinoslippers USB, and no, that's not the end of the show. Now get back to work, you lot. I just finished The Order 1886, in less time than it would take to watch the Lord of the Rings trilogy. How cinematic is that for you? The Order 1886 has had my curious attention for some time. At its announcement, we saw beautifully rounded moustaches battling against monsters on the foggy streets of 19th century London. Awesome, I thought. I like it when games use a steampunk aesthetic. It is one of the times outside of the modern Final Fantasy games when a character can be dressed in an assortment of belts and goggles and be armed with familiar yet curiously different weapons. Then developer Ready at Dawn explained their vision. That worried me. They had a vision. It always sends alarm bells ringing in my head when a developer announces a vision. Games are visual. Surely the best explanation you can give of your vision is to show us. If only they had some way to visually manifest this vision, like in a game or something. But the vision Ready at Dawn had was in 30 frames per second, and then they used words like cinematic. Many developers appear to have a chip on their shoulder. At least that's what it sounds like. They seem to find games almost beneath them, and their vision. They don't announce how they are going to make the games more game-o-matic, or game-centric, or game-ish. They talk about cinema and film. They talk about them as if games should be aspiring to certain movie industry standards. And if this is what they believe, I have to wonder if perhaps they're not in the wrong industry. I enjoy all kinds of art forms, but I enjoy them for the things they can do, and do well, and not the things they cannot. I enjoy a good read like the Fahrenheit Twins, but I don't get upset that it does not come with a cover system. I like movies, but I never expect Holly Martins to fail a QuickTime event and get killed by Harry Lime. I appreciate the form for what it is, and not for what it isn't. Games feel uniquely placed to take advantage of aspects from all other mediums. We can read, watch, and listen to a story, or build one ourselves. I think games need to aspire to be games, to be more game-like, and not to brandish their inspiration so openly. If a game feels cinematic, that should be seen as a negative point, not something to be celebrated. It should be seen as a shortcoming. We should be saying, unfortunately, the game often feels cinematic. Developer Ready at Dawn did not help themselves over the last week when rumours began surfacing that the order was only 5 or 6 hours long. They claimed that this was an exaggeration, that the game wasn't that short, and then the game turned out to be that short. This left Ready at Dawn nowhere to hide. You cannot tell tall tales for long on the internet. There are too many ears listening, too many eyes ever watching. When you lie, it is only a matter of time before it is uncovered. And the larger you are, the more attention is spent examining each word you say. Ready at Dawn lied during the week that their game was the biggest release. Everyone was watching, everyone was listening. I am a little worried about how much harm this will cause. The Order, despite how brief an experience it is nonetheless an interesting one. There is no way it can be justified as a full price title, as it is not a full game. I have read reviews calling it an interesting trailer for The Order 1887, but I wonder if there will be an Order 1887, or whatever the sequel is to be called, in light of this public relations disaster. I feel there are two games from the last year we can use for comparison with The Order, the unnerving PT and Kiefer-voiced Metal Gear Solid Ground Zeroes, both from Hideo Kojima. PT is how you do cinematic right, by the way, with the film director Guillermo del Toro working with Hideo Kojima to make a Silent Hill game. This is how games can learn from the world of cinema, if this is what they want to do. Watch what a movie director does when making a game, how they embrace the opportunity to create and achieve things they cannot do with their accustomed medium, not attempt to duplicate their approach when making games, and force them to behave more like movies. PT was as unsettling as all hell, and free is a pretty cheap price to pay. Although it is relatively short, and in effect little more than a trailer for the upcoming Silent Hills, each and every step along the repeated yet always altering corridor felt tense and purposeful. It was lean and effective. Likewise, Metal Gear Solid Ground Zeroes is an expensive trailer for the upcoming Phantom Pain, and even though the developers expressed it was just a snippet of what would be coming, it felt wrong that it was priced at half the cost of a complete game. Kojima himself compared Ground Zeroes to the pre-title set piece of a Hollywood blockbuster, a pre-title sequence that cost half the price of one full admission alone. Ground Zeroes was too short. Its campaign was as intense as it was brief, and the game's additional content that was to keep us occupied was too reliant on repetition, on repetition, on repetition. It may also be appropriate to address the controversy around another game recently. Braid developer Jonathan Blow tweeted that he'd finished a playthrough of his hopefully nearing release game, The Witness. Naturally, this was reported by some sites as meaning that The Witness total playtime could be ascertained by a developer speedrun. And then everybody had to have an opinion on it. Everyone had to have an opinion about the length of an unreleased game, which is still under development. what kind of an experience could be had, and what kind of puzzles could be conquered so quickly. Others focused on another tweet in which Jonathan Blow said the game was approximately 10 times the size of Braid. Therefore The Witness would be a huge and rewarding game. I'm not sure we can jump to conclusions about The Witness just yet. Whether it is too long or too short is a consideration for when it is released, when we have played the game. Before that time, this controversy is nothing more than a storm in a teacup. The Order is certainly too short for what it is, yet that may not be the case for The Witness if it was to be the same length. And never mind the length of the game, the quality of its content is something we do not yet know. The Order 1886 looks good, and what little to it there is plays well enough when it's content to allow you to play it. Yet it does nothing to justify its price point. We've seen it all before. The Gears of War combat, the quick time events, and the awkward stealth sections. It feels as if it's at best a missed opportunity, and at worst knowingly missold. I don't have visions. I have ideas. Sometimes they're good ideas, sometimes they're bad ideas, but that's all they are. Things to think about, and they're malleable, changeable. I'm never locked into them. Visions are the domain of mystics and the mad. I'm not saying that Ready at Dawn are either of these, but I would ask, what visionary notions have ever caught on by declaring that they themselves are visionary? I do, however, fear what the bite back from the growing and vocal opposition to short games might be. Like the games they criticise, consumers' voices are heard in an often abbreviated form, and it may lead to developers filling their games with additional fluff in a misguided bid to gratify our dissatisfaction. But it is not just the depth of the swimming pool we are concerned with, it's the quality of the water we are expected to swim in. We are Dinoslippers USB. If you like this video, then give us a like below. And if you really like this video, then click subscribe and check out our other videos.